3 hours. Furahia futa, dial star 544 hash. Make Chaguo smarter na Airtel, the most affordable network.
Hello from wherever you're watching us. A very warm welcome coming to KBC Prime Edition, coming to you 33 minutes off the top of the hour. Why that thrilling round of 16 match beating Morocco and Spain, and we also what happened, Morocco doing Africa proud, sailing through to the next level. Of course, the next match coming in a couple of minutes when the clocks strike 10, not on KBC Channel 1, but of course on all our KBC radio channels. Good evening, my name is Mboya. Our headlines tonight. Seeking a collective response to a devastating drought, Cabinet approves scaled up efforts to assist 4.5 million Kenyans in need. Hailing talks, former President Uhuru Kenyatta commends progress to silence guns in DRC. And assured of security, government promises to secure planned Azimio rallies in the city. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Our sign language interpreter is Brian Aburi. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, and my Twitter handle is @Mboya24. Now, President William Ruto has said that the government is committed to digitizing all its services in the next 6 months while launching virtual desktop infrastructure at Kabete National Polytechnic. The president said the digital economy has the potential to enhance productivity, expand income, improve social economic of all Kenyans, and create job opportunities as well. That report opens our coverage tonight.
Speaking at the Kabete National Polytechnic, where he launched virtual desktop infrastructure, President Ruto reiterated the importance of technology in the growth of the country's economy.
Africa's youth need the digital skills, access to technology, and markets that are essential to thrive on an increasingly digitized global economy. This is how they unlock their remarkable capacity for innovation, for enterprise, and even for leadership.
While leveraging on those digital skills, we will create digital jobs. Through the digital jobs, Your Excellency, we are also able to enable our youth to multitask so that perhaps they could be doing certain jobs during the day and then the online jobs in the evening. And by way of that, Your Excellency, we are moving towards turning Kenya into a 24-hour economy, Your Excellency.
He said Kenya has invited technology leaders worldwide so that they can share the opportunities that exist in the world that is increasingly becoming digitized. He challenged the youth to be equipped with their digital skills in order to take advantage of opportunities available to improve their lives. Earlier, President Ruto officially opened the Kenya Innovation Week at Sarit Center, Nairobi, where he also urged the Kenya National Innovation Agency to develop policies.
The Kenya National Innovation Agency must now initiate and develop appropriate policies to promote collaborations and mobilize resources to support innovators.
The government is in the meantime proposing a new bill that will see startups in innovation benefit from a startup kitty.
And here I also pledge that the government of Kenya, as I said earlier, we are processing a startups bill that will also help scale up and de-risk startups and give them the opportunity to grow into enterprises.
Your Excellency, we are also announcing a collaboration between the Kenya National Innovation Agency and Huawei Technologies Kenya Company Limited. And we do hope that when this collaborative framework is concluded, it will be able to drive innovative 5G and advanced connectivity solutions between Kenya and Huawei Technologies Kenya.
The National Innovation Agency was set up to try and develop and manage the national innovation system. Now, you can't manage something you can't track very well, and you can't progress if you can't quantify the milestones that you're making. So what we set out to do this year is to lay the foundation. So the agency has been in operation for about 2 years. So last year we set the Innovation Week, and now the second time. So this year we did the baseline of the national innovation system.
Now, the Cabinet has approved efforts to scale up drought responses aimed at alleviating the suffering of over 4.5 million Kenyans still in dire need of humanitarian assistance. To address the impact of climate change blamed for prolonged drought, the Apex decision resolved that all public engagements presided by the President, his deputy, and all other cadres of state as well as public officers will be marked by planting trees as a way of increasing the country's forest cover. Ben Troy-Njue reports.
The Cabinet on Tuesday held its fourth meeting chaired by President William Ruto. The meeting reviewing the current status and interventions put in place to address the impact of devastating drought that is affecting over 4 million Kenyans. The meeting resolving to scale up drought responses aimed at alleviating the sufferings of the households affected. The intervention, according to a dispatch from the Cabinet, will continue targeting the vulnerable and save lives and preserve livelihoods. A long-term solution to address the devastating effects of climate change and desertification, the Cabinet approved the National Tree Growing Restoration Campaign, which targets to mobilize the nation in planting 15 billion trees by the year 2030. The meeting also reiterated the commitment to actualize the Gender Equality Plan to boost Kenya's socio-economic development. To address the threats of dumping of cheap subsidized imports, the Cabinet directed the Ministry of Trade and Investment to operationalize the Trade Remedy Agency and the Trade Negations Council, Good to the Country, and Counterfeits. The meeting also sanctioned the revitalization of football in a national effort that will include the rebuilding of the national men's team and women's national team. In addition, it was announced that this year's Jamhuri Day will be marked through ICT-themed national celebration, which will be preceded by an Innovation Week that was formally inaugurated by the President. For Prime Edition, I'm Ben Troy-Njue.
On securities matters now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has assured the opposition of government's intention to deploy security operations during the planned consultation rallies in Nairobi. The CS, however, said the ministry will need a detailed itinerary of the planned meetings for proper planning. Kindiki, however, urged Azimio to picket peacefully.
With the Azimio leaders now determined to have what it termed as public engagement meeting this Wednesday in Jamhuri Day, the government says it's ready to deploy adequate security but with conditions.
We have finite human resources to deploy, and these human resources are in competition. The economy is competing for the number of police officers we have, so we cannot deploy the entire contingent of the entire police service just because of one section of society.
While acknowledging the constitutionality of the freedom of assembly, the CAS insisted that it must be done peacefully and in a way that shall not cause chaos or interrupt other people's businesses.
We will not politicize the matter. We don't want to be drawn into political discussions around the matter. We will remain professional. We expect those who are engaging this activity to respect our constitution and the law.
On matters of security in the country's capital city, Kindiki affirmed that the government has restored calm and peace as the country enters the festive season.
We are able to interact with Nairobians in downtown areas such as Mboya, bus station, Nyamakima, Mudhurwa, and country bus station. The traders and citizens who live and work in Nairobi, and especially in those areas, told me that security had improved, in their own words, and that they were happy with the measures that we had taken.
Yusufar reporting for Prime Edition.
Let's now look at the DRC peace talks, and former President Uhuru Kenyatta says that he's encouraged that all of the representatives of the rebel groups in the Democratic Republic of Congo present at the Nairobi peace process have said that they are willing to lay down their arms. He said the meeting set up a framework that would lead to peace after more than 2 decades of war in DR Congo. Here's that report.
A week-long summit to try and restore peace in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has officially ended. There was a number of agreements, including fully funding of disarmament and stabilization program for former rebels and the release of prisoners with no criminal records or conviction.
Hakuna ulinzi wa mazingara ambao unawezekana bila kuhusisha jamii ambazo zinaishi kando ya hiyo misitu. Hiyo amekubali. Na amesema hiyo atatangaza, na yeye mwenyewe ataitana mkutano ndio watu waweze kujadiliana, ya kwanza vile wengine ambao wameteseka kwa sababu ya mambo haya wataweza kuhusishwa kulinda hiyo misitu, kulinda hawa wanyama, aidha kama askari wa mbuga ama kama forest wardens, na pia vile wataweza kuhusishwa kwa miradi ya maendeleo ambaye ni eco-friendly. Si munaelewa vile nasema?
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta, who facilitated the process, said the meeting set up a framework that would lead to peace after more than 2 decades war in Congo.
Tuheshimu na tutunze wakina mama wetu. Kwa sababu yale nimesikia ambao vijana wametenda ni mambo ya aibu, ni mambo ya kishetani. Ni jukumu letu. Ni jukumu letu kama viongozi, haswa nyinyi viongozi wa mashinani, muambie wafuasi wenu, jameni, hata kama tuko na shida mbali na serikali, hii mambo ya kinyama haswa kwa wakina mama na watoto lazima yakome, na yakome kabisa.
Kenyatta said DRC Congo President Felix Tshisekedi had agreed to form up a committee to investigate claims of indiscriminate arrests that have occurred in the country's eastern region.
Tutaunda kamati pamoja na viongozi wa kijamii ambao wako hapa, na mimi nikamwambia hata mimi nataka kuwa ndani ya hiyo kamati, na ndio tuchunguze majina haya yote, na wale wote ambao hawana hatia wawachiliwe mara moja, warudi makwao.
So this is not new. That shows really that we are facing terrorists and violent groups that need to be dealt with by the region.
It was also agreed that the work will also be done for communities living in mining areas near national parks to see how they could benefit from the mines and conservation efforts. For Prime Edition, I'm Gladys Mongai.
Let's switch now into politics. The Kenya Kwanza Alliance will support a bill that anchors the position of the official leader of opposition in what is seen as a ploy to reach out to Azimio leader Raila Amolo Odinga. In multiple interviews, members of the coalition confirmed that President William Ruto, in his engagement with the MPs Monday night, instructed them to push for a constitutional bill seeking to give the opposition leader an office and a budget funded by the Exchequer. JJ Curia reports.
Given that the Azimio Brigade is already drafting a bill seeking to anchor the position of the official leader of opposition in the constitution with a fully functional office and a budget funded by the taxpayer, it is now emerging that the Kenya Kwanza coalition will back the proposal against the expectation that they would oppose it. During a private session with MPs Monday night, President Ruto instructed his allies to throw their weight behind a constitutional amendment that would anchor the position in the constitution.
Many of you remember when he was at Chatham House earlier this year in February, he did indicate that he supports the idea of an office of the leader of official opposition. I think it's just out of that he's now proposing to Parliament to consider that proposal to set up the office of leader of opposition.
It will open up official channels of communication between government and the opposition, such that Raila Odinga doesn't have to call for Kamkunju, have a parallel run. He is recognized in law, so he can come to Jamhuri Park during Jamhuri Day, and he is recognized and he will be given an opportunity to speak. If he wants to address Parliament, he will be invited as official opposition leader in Parliament and come and address Parliament.
Agreed collectively that any proposal that may come to support the leader of opposition, the official leader of opposition, we will be supporting that, because anytime we are making laws, we should not make laws from the point that is of comfort to you. You also need to look at when the issue is on the other side.
In a chess master move, the coalition says it has its own proposals on how the office will be set up and operate, appearing to drift away from the bill proposed by Azimio that is yet to make its way to the floor of the House.
The President has not had a sitting with the minority side to agree on a proposal. He has his own proposal, and it were his thoughts as early as February. Probably the opposition has borrowed from what the President said at Chatham House and now proposed to have their own proposal, which we have not seen. We've just heard about it in the media.
That's the one of the office that the President is pushing for, whereby they can have an office, they can be infrastructure, they can be vehicles, they can be able to put the government on top. Therefore, he's ready for the opposition to come up and raise issues whenever we are not doing right, and even the government in our budget to be able to put them and to finance them and to fund them so that they can be able to conceptualize and also actively work out on opposition.
Our support to have a proper leader of opposition is because the President feels that this government needs a proper check, and you cannot be able to have somebody checking on you when they have challenges, basic challenges like transport, like an office that operates a well-equipped office. And that's one of the things he was appealing to us, that it's important to have a very robust opposition.
Seeing that the opposition leader Raila Odinga has continued to exert pressure on the Ruto administration, including planned consultation rallies in Nairobi, the Kenya Kwanza coalition has however refuted that supporting the proposal to empower the opposition leader is an enticement to Raila.
A bill for the office of the opposition could be an office given to the opposition as a whole, to appoint the person to lead it, not necessarily the person who vied as the presidential candidate. So we have no problem with and you know, I speak from my point of view personally. This is not the view of the Kenya Kwanza coalition. This is my view. But I think it is good to have an opposition that works. Laws are not, they don't operate retrogressively. So ideally, it's only that we've had an opposition leader for the past two regimes who is Raila Odinga, and the perception that he is a handshake in another format is not true.
The members of the National Assembly who convened at a Nairobi hotel for a two-day legislative conference were briefed on President Ruto's legislative agenda for the year 2023, even as they convened for a special sitting on Thursday. John Jacob Curia, Prime Edition.
Meru MCAs table a fresh motion to impeach Governor Mwangaza. All that coming up after this short break. Stay with us.
Cheza loto, shinda pesa moto.
Wachua mamili leo na loto moto. Cheza ukianzia na shilingi 50 na ushinde milioni 2 kila siku. Kucheza ni rahisi zaidi. Kwenye M-Pesa, chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno loto. Kisha, weka star. Alafu nambari yako ya simu. Kwenye amount, weka kiwango chochote cha pesa. Kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi shilingi 2000. Lipa na usubiri draw. Makinika papa hapa ili utimize ndoto zako na Loto Moto. Cheza kwa kuwajibika. Mchezo huu ni wazi kwa watu walio na umri wa miaka 18 na zaidi. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB. Cheza Loto Moto. Shinda pesa moto moto.
Kupata kumpenda mtu kama sikiza tune kwenye simu yako, bonyeza star 812 star 501 hash.
Mapenzi si kumpenda mtu kwa kuwa amekamilika, kwani nawe pia una mapungufu yako. Kwa hivyo mapenzi ni kumpenda mtu na mapungufu yake.
Kupata kumpenda mtu, bonyeza star 812 star 501 hash. Star 812 star 501 hash.
Make transactions anywhere in the world with the NCBA Visa card and stand a chance to win big. Join the FIFA World Cup 2022 when you win an all-expenses-paid trip for you and your +1 to watch 2 games. Or win exciting weekly prizes that will make your FIFA viewing experience super duper. All it takes is a swipe or a tap to pay 2,000 Kenya shillings or more with your NCBA Visa debit or credit card. The more you swipe or tap to pay, the higher your chances of winning with 1 point for every 2,000 Kenya shillings spent. Don't miss out. NCBA. Go for it.
Welcome to the Living Room Stadium. It's the FIFA World Cup. The match is about to start. Food and drink ready. There's no space left for anyone. Come on, get your lucky chair. Take your usual spot. Even the puppy has one. It's preparation time. You can feel the tension in the air. And do you have everything you need to believe?
Feel the excitement. Relish every moment. Get 1.5 GB at 50 bob. Valid for 3 hours. Furahia futa. Dial star 544 hash. Make chaguo smarter na Airtel, the most affordable network.
Welcome back to KBC Channel 1. Our Twitter handle, my Twitter handle at Mboya24, and our socials at KBC Channel 1. Members of staff in the State Department of Broadcasting and Telecommunication have been called upon to serve the country with integrity without any bias. Speaking after taking over the mantle of leadership from former Broadcasting and Telecommunication Principal Secretary Esther Koimet, the new Principal Secretary Professor Edward Kisiangani says that there is need for all public officers to have the Constitution as their guiding principle so as to achieve better service delivery to Kenyans. Timothy Kipnusu is on that story.
Broadcasting and Telecommunications Principal Secretary Professor Edward Kisiangani says the nation will only make strides if those entrusted with service delivery carry out their mandate with utmost dedication.
You serve with integrity because every office you occupy it in public trust, and it is stated in the Constitution.
Professor Kisiangani says the Constitution is the yardstick of effective service delivery, especially in government.
We are serving on behalf of the main boss, who is the people. If you understand that, you will perform your duties very well. It is the people who have given us the mandate through delegation. So if we forget that and we serve ourselves, then we lose it. These people can punish us very badly.
Professor Kisiangani spoke when he took over the department's accounting duties from the outgoing PS Esther Koimet. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Water says it plans to ensure all Kenyans have access to the rare commodity and improve irrigation acreage to 1.8 million from the current 675,000 acreage.
So we are taking the call by the President very seriously in terms of dams construction as one strategy. That means we are going to ensure that we build sufficient infrastructure accompanied by development of water resources in bulk.
And I will be reaching to various partners who are willing to work with us and engaging them working with the county government so that we can really deliver on this critical mandate where the issue of resources to do with money is a challenge. But I believe there are a number of well-wishers who wish to support.
We understand this work, and we know we have the support of the IS office, we have the support of our CS, and we have no reason why we should not deliver for the Kenyan people. The irrigation agenda is very, very important and dear to our president. He has put it across as such, and we have assured him we are up to the task.
The leader spoke during the handing over of the two departments at Madge House, Nairobi. Nancy Okware, Prime Edition.
At least 28% of learners from grade 1 to 9 and who are in boarding primary schools will be forced to transition to day schools after government abolishes the boarding system come next year. Speaking at the official opening of the Kenya Primary School Heads Association conference in Mombasa, Education Principal Secretary Belio Kipsang further said that government plans to do away with the categorization of secondary schools as part of the reforms that will streamline the competency-based curricula, or CBC if you like.
As the schools prepare for the first term in January 2023, head teachers in Mombasa are worried over the cost implications of transition, even as the government plans to employ 30,000 additional teachers to manage CBC.
I assure you, sir, that the commission, as I am here, the entire system is in place, and by the close of the next 2 weeks, we will have advertised those posts, because we have to align with the directive of the president.
The Presidential Working Party is listening to our views on this issue of financing.
as he officially opened the 18th annual KBC conference that is currently underway in Mombasa. Education PS Belio Kipsang affirmed the government's willingness to support the CBC as it undertakes drastic reforms. The Education Task Force is looking to scrap off boarding systems for learners in grade 1 to grade 9 while reviewing the categorization of senior schools upon the completion of their JSC studies in 3 years' time.
We have some schools called sub-county schools, others are called county schools, others are called extra-county schools, others are called national schools. They are all our schools. I know, and luckily, that our primary schools are not categorized. And yet we have not had any challenge. So we need to start socializing ourselves that we need to be with our children. And the only way we shall be with our children is for these children to be in day school environment.
The government further promised to improve infrastructure, double the school feeding programs, as well as increase the allocation of the Free Primary Education National Fund. This as the PS encouraged schools to share infrastructure with other disadvantaged neighbors, as the government promises to pump more resources in the near future.
50% of your schools have produced a secondary school. And therefore, it will make it easy for us to share facilities. And such facilities would include our human resource. But the most critical facility is that we shall be socializing our children to basic science. And therefore, we shall require to share some of our laboratories.
Juni Karisambele from Mombasa County.
On to that Kawira saga now. Meru members of the county assembly have tabled a fresh motion to impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza. A Bagote West member of county assembly, Dennis Kiogora, tabling the new notice of motion of impeachment wants the governor impeached on account of gross misconduct. Here's that report.
Seems to be no let-up in the ongoing turf wars in Meru County. The Assembly has once again put in motion an attempt to impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the flash drive containing the evidence in support for the impeachment of the Governor of Meru County.
A Bangote West member of County Assembly, Dennis Kiogora, says the governor must be stripped of her mandate because she is allegedly unfit to hold public office.
Grossly violated Articles 10, 232, 235 and 236 of the Constitution. Grossly violated Section 17 of the Public Officer Ethics Act. Grossly violated Sections 55, 59, 59A, 60, 62, 63, 64 and 65 and of the County Governments Act. Grossly violated Section 6 and 11 of the Meru County Youth Service Act 2018 and grossly violated Section 4 of the Public Appointments.
The High Court had initially stayed the impeachment process, but the ward representatives insist that the governor has overstayed her welcome.
And the governor's continued stay in office under the prevailing toxic environment will inevitably undermine effective and efficient service delivery and thus hurt the interest of the people of Meru County.
The governor has repeatedly absolved herself from any wrongdoing and instead accused the Assembly of witch hunt. For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
Into the corridors of justice now. The High Court has withdrawn murder charges against Sarah Wairimo and businessman Peter Karanja in a case in which the two had been implicated in the death of Dutch businessman Tob Cohen. In a judgment delivered by Justice Daniel Ogembo, the duo had been discharged and not acquitted, as fresh charges can be leveled against them in case there's new evidence presented. The Director of Public Prosecution has been given a go-ahead to file a judicial inquest on the murder of the late business before the Chief Magistrate's Court. Sarafina Robi with more from the courts.
The mystery behind the murder of the late Dutch businessman Tob Cohen is yet to be unraveled. The High Court has allowed the Director of Public Prosecution to withdraw the murder case against Cohen's widow Sarah Wairimo and businessman Peter Karanja and order the DPP to file a judicial inquest at the Chief Magistrate's Court. This comes to the dismay of the late Cohen's family, who had opposed the withdrawal, saying it was in bad faith as the DPP had not given them written reasons for the withdrawal. In the judgment, Justice Daniel Ogembo says the two have been discharged and not acquitted, hence can be charged afresh in case of new evidence. However, the judge did not grant Werimo's request of an order directing the state security agency to release the matrimonial home to her together with her car and a pet dog.
Confirm that when this incident occurred, you did not report to any relative or even your bodyguard.
Meanwhile, East Africa Legislative Assembly nominated Member of Parliament David Sankok has been put to task to explain a report he allegedly recorded with the police over threatening messages found in the police occurrence book regarding his former driver Raphael Kapaye Torome. This is after the indications that the report allegedly recorded by Sankok had been disputed by the then OCS Narok police station, where the offence was initially reported.
On the 25th day of April, you appeared in Narok police station to try and have a statement recorded in Narok police station. Confirm that you appeared there.
No, I did not appear to try and, but the OB was given to me.
It was given to you?
Yes. And I think
Sankok denied any involvement in the interference of the OB as alleged. The hearing continues on the 23rd of March 2023. Four suspects in the collapsed building in Kirigiti that killed 5 people have been charged with manslaughter before a Kimbo court. Albert Kamau Mwangi, the owner of the building, Ayub Nganga Munge, Wallace Gadhu Mochu, and Charles Mashari Mwangi pleaded not guilty to the 5 counts of manslaughter. The owner of the building that collapsed was released on a bond of 2 million shillings or an alternative of 2 similar sureties or a cash bail of 500,000 Kenyan shillings. The other 3, all Kiambu County officials, were released on a cash bill of 200,000 Kenyan shillings each or a bond of 1 million shillings.
The accused persons are considered innocent until proven guilty, and there is no compelling reasons which have been advanced on why they should be denied bond.
The matter will be mentioned on the 30th of January, with a hearing scheduled for the 30th of March 2023. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.
A group of youth from Kiambu County have embarked on a 160-kilometer walk through Mount Kenya and the Aberdare Mountains to retrace the paths used by the Mau Mau freedom fighters. The group seeks to rewrite the freedom fighters' history by visiting all the places freedom fighters used to operate from, including caves, and Kenya freedom hero Dedan Kimathi was shot and arrested before being taken to Kamiti prison.
It is song and dance as a traditional ceremony is held in Kiambu County, moments before a group of youth begins a journey of 160 kilometers walk through Mount Kenya and the Aberdare Mountains. Veteran Mau Mau freedom fighters hold traditional prayers to bless the young men and women who are determined to retrace the paths that were used by Mau Mau freedom fighters.
Tumeona historia ya Mau Mau iliandikwa na wazungu na hawakuandika kwa njia iliyo sawa sawa, sababu waliita shujaa wetu majina ingine mbaya, wakiwaita waragai. Kwa hivyo ndio tunaona tuandike historia mzuri ya safari hii ya Mau Mau vile waliopigania uhuru.
From Githunguri in Kiambu County to Nyeri, the youth are seeking to rewrite the freedom fighters' history by visiting all the places they used to operate from.
Watakuwa wanapita pahali yote Mau Mau walikuwa wanajificha, njia yote ya Mau Mau pahali walikuwa wanapita, na tena waingie kwa barabara zote zile Mau Mau walikuwa wanapita, ili tufanye historia mzuri.
We are doing this with the objective of paying homage to the freedom fighters and remembering in a big way, because they paid dearly for this nation.
Through the journey, the group is expected to spend nights in the caves at Aberdare Mountains where freedom fighters used to sleep. The climax of the journey will be where Kenya's freedom hero Dedan Kimathi was shot and arrested before being taken to Kamiti prison.
Wataenda siku 6 kuanzia leo. Watafika huko tarehe 11 upande ya Nyeri.
We are calling it walking the paths of freedom. Walking from Githuguri past Kemende, all the way Jabini, Donyujeru, then across the Aberdares to a point where Kimathi was shot.
During the flagging of ceremony, the youths were called upon to use the walk to bring out the struggles freedom fighters went through to liberate Kenya from a superpower.
Iko mashimo walikuwa wanaingia. Iko mito walikuwa wanajificha. Msitu ulikuwa mkubwa sana na tungetaka ili hifadhiwe ili watoto wetu wapate historia ya pahali watu wazazi wao walikuwa wanapigania uhuru.
Hivyo mkienda mna baraka kwa wazee, kwa kina mama, muende mkiwa na furaha nyingi ya kwamba mmeshika kazi mzuri ya kufanya katika nchi yenu.
Ben Chumba, Prime Edition.
Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back on the other side of the studio, we have the business anchor on standby. Stay with us.
Wachua mamili leo na Loto Moto. Kucheza ni rahisi zaidi. Kwenye M-Pesa, chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno Loto, kisha weka star. Alafu nambari yako ya simu. Kwenye amount, weka kiwango chochote cha pesa, kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi shilingi 2000. Lipa na usubiri draw. Cheza kwa kuwajibika. Mchezo huu ni wazi kwa watu walio na umri wa miaka 18 na zaidi.
Feel the excitement. Relish every moment. Get 1.5 GB at 50 bob. Valid for 3 hours. Furahia futa. Dial star 544 hash. Make chaguo smarter na Airtel, the most affordable network.
Make transactions anywhere in the world with the NCBA Visa card and stand a chance to win big. Join the FIFA World Cup 2022 when you win an all-expenses-paid trip for you and your +1 to watch 2 games. Or win exciting weekly prizes that will make your FIFA viewing experience super duper. All it takes is a swipe or a tap to pay 2,000 Kenya shillings or more with your NCBA Visa debit or credit card. The more you swipe or tap to pay, the higher your chances of winning with 1 point for every 2,000 Kenya shillings spent. Don't miss out. NCBA. Go for it.
A very good evening to you. Thank you for keeping it Prime Edition here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Betty Kiptum. Let's get the latest in the world of business. Now, sending money between bank accounts and mobile money platforms will attract charges from next month. The central bank says it is reintroducing the charges that were waived nearly 3 years ago at the height of COVID-19 as a relief to Kenyans affected by coronavirus disruptions.
Peak of the COVID pandemic, the Central Bank of Kenya waived charges on various digital money transactions to facilitate a transition towards cashless transactions, as handling of cash was deemed to spread the virus. Since then, the central bank says monthly value of person-to-person transactions have increased from 234 billion shillings to 399 billion shillings respectively. The monthly value of transactions between payment service providers and banks to that effect increased from 157 billion shillings to 800 billion shillings. The central bank is ending the waiver period, but promises that new charges, which will be lower than the initial charges before the pandemic, will be effected from January. The revised maximum charges for transfers from bank accounts to mobile money wallets will be reduced by up to 61% and mobile money wallets to bank accounts by up to 47%. The CBK will also use its pricing principles as the guiding framework for setting tariffs and charges for mobile money services, paying keen attention to affordability. Tariffs for pay bills that are used to collect and disburse funds by businesses, companies and institutions, such as schools and utilities, will also be reduced by on average 50% of the pre-COVID charges. The CBK has also announced charges levied by banks for bank-to-mobile money transactions, which will be reduced by on average 45%. Hibak Said for Prime Edition.
Now, the government is concerned that farmers are losing interest in cane growing. Farmers are being encouraged to increase the acreage under the cash crop to reap from the full implementation of the Kenya National Sugar Task Force recommendations that route for cane zoning and leasing state-owned millers to enhance efficiency.
Since we are here to create...
As the government prepares to implement the Sugar Task Force recommendations, concerns are emerging over rapidly decreasing interest from farmers in planting cane, even as private players position themselves to have a share of the sector's cake.
We think of this sector, we see a lot of hope because the number of investors in the sugar industry is on the increase. And it is our hope that if that increase in investors in the sugar industry can be matched with farmers developing interest again in sugarcane production, then in the next 2 to 3 years we should be self-sufficient in sugar production.
The sector has seen at least 6 new millers join the fray in the recent years, while the farmers' numbers have reduced to about 50% of the original cane growers.
Last year, we produced over 700,000 metric tons of sugar from 16 sugar mills. 5 years ago, we had about 10 sugar mills that produced about 430,000 metric tons of sugar. So when you look at that increase, it is progressive, but not at the rate we would wish it to be.
Much as we're using inputs, the yields are not impressive. What does that mean? We need to go back and evaluate what kind of inputs we are using on our sugarcane, so that even the issues of soil analysis, the farmers need to be encouraged to do soil analysis so that they use the recommended inputs.
Kisumu County Governor Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o says the country must begin to engage in value addition as opposed to production of sugar alone if it hopes to survive in the sector.
The capacity to produce more sugar than we are producing now, less costly, more efficiently for our domestic consumption and even export. And if we do that, then we have enough raw material for manufacturing other things, the byproducts we are talking about. And that value addition will help us really.
Nyong'o spoke as he oversaw the commencement of a 2-day industry symposium and exhibition in Kisumu County. Achola Simon, Prime Edition, Kisumu County.
Now, LG Electronics has partnered with the University of Nairobi to train engineers, architects, contractors and other building professionals in the latest heating, ventilation and air conditioning innovations. LG East Africa Managing Director Sa Nyong Kim says there is a large gap in Kenya in the skills needed to install and maintain equipment embedded with technology. Details of these and other stories in today's corporate briefs.
The deal between LG Electronics and the University of Nairobi will see the tech firm revamp its engineering academy and rebrand its showroom as it eyes growth in sales of its innovative heating, ventilation, and air conditioning inverter technology, directly targeting professionals in the construction industry while enhancing technical skills in the local market. Meanwhile, Smart Company has launched a smart solution app in the healthcare industry in a bid to aid consumers access healthcare services from their mobile phones.
Through this showroom and the academy, we report to guide in an era for the comfort environment for Kenyans to the business and be pleased.
This will enhance the practical skills of our students in the University of Nairobi, who will be able, after graduating, will be able to get into the working society with experience on the aspects of air conditioning.
And finally, coffee, fresh fruits and vegetable exporters will adopt a self-regulation model of safety and quality from next year. This is after a framework is geared towards harmonization of standards for food safety, quality and environmental impacts has been adopted during a 3-day workshop in Nairobi.
The recommendation I have for the national government is to encourage them support the self-regulation which we have come up with, so that private sector is responsible for ensuring the quality, ensuring the food safety of their products, and the government just comes in to support. This will increase the rate of compliance. It will also help us enhance the productivity.
In our region is still very low. It's around 20%. If we compare this to other regional blocks where, for example, like SADC, they do more than 40%. So we need to do more in terms of trade. And such kind of frameworks or such kind of initiatives and interventions supported by the likes of GIZ are critical to help our sectors and to help our industries and SMEs to become compliant.
By having the private sector people coordinated and organized, it will actually minimize the government control or regulation of the same. And therefore the government role is actually, developing policies and guidelines which will help the government recognize schemes that will be developed by the private sector themselves.
Ndutamo Kami for Prime Edition.
That story by Ndutamo Kami brings us to a close of business news this evening, but of course Prime Edition continues after this short break with sports news. My name is Betty Kiptum. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. Bye-bye.
Do you know you stand the risk of disconnection if you have not updated your SIM registration details? Dial *106# to check your SIM registration status. If your details are not updated, dial *106# and select option 2 to get the self-update link. You will be required to upload your original ID image copy, both front and back. Alternatively, you can visit the nearest Airtel outlet. Remember, you only have until December 15th, 2022 to comply. This is a SIM regulation requirement as per the Communications Authority of Kenya. Airtel, the most affordable network.
life medical cover. They have access to the best care 24/7. Madison Group, usibahatishe.
Make transactions anywhere in the world with the NCBA Visa card and stand a chance to win big. Join the FIFA World Cup 2022 when you win an all-expenses-paid trip for you and your +1 to watch 2 games. Or win exciting weekly prizes that will make your FIFA viewing experience super duper. All it takes is a swipe or a tap to pay 2,000 Kenya shillings or more with your NCBA Visa debit or credit card. The more you swipe or tap to pay, the higher your chances of winning with 1 point for every 2,000 Kenya shillings spent. Don't miss out. NCBA. Go for it.
Airtel, the most affordable network.
Thank you for keeping it KBC Prime Edition. My name is Karen Kibet. I'm happy to be back from Qatar. So, as I can see, a game is currently going on. Portugal versus Switzerland. It's in the 32nd minute, which is being staged at the Lusail Stadium, the biggest stadium of all in Qatar, which will host the final match of the FIFA 2022 World Cup. And Portugal is currently leading 1-0 courtesy of Ramos. That is currently going on. The game is on the 32nd minute. Let's take a look at other stories making headlines where, after winning the FIFA World Cup on African soil in 2010, their first World Cup title, Spain has been ousted from the Qatar 2022 World Cup by an African team, going down on post-match penalties to Morocco, the only African team remaining in the tournament. The match ended in a goalless draw in regular and extra time and was decided on the spot, Morocco proving the better side.
And Morocco will take the first one. Very well put in. Sabri scores his first goal. Oh, the advantage is to Morocco. For Morocco, left-footed as well. Puts in all the power that he carried it. And he's got Bono to contend with in goal. Soler goes to the same side and again he's cut off. Morocco have got a 2-goal advantage in this. And they only wait for the next one and see whether they are in or not. Benoit, oh, it's saved as well. The Barcelona man will step forward. Clinical finish that he attempts is cut off. And again, a commanding advantage is given back to the Moroccans. For Morocco, Hakimi puts it in the net. And they will not need to go for the others. Because even if they do, Morocco will still have won it. And Morocco get into the last 8 for the very first time in history. And a celebration is in the offing. Courtesy of Abdelhamid.
The FIFA World Cup takes a break on Wednesday, and on Thursday action resumes on Friday with 2 fixtures on the cards. The 2 quarterfinals, Croatia will be battling it with Brazil. Netherlands will be battling it out with Argentina. And on Saturday, we will see Morocco either playing Portugal or Switzerland, the game that's currently going on, which Portugal is leading 1-0. We will know later on which team they will take in the quarterfinals. And England and France will also battle it out on Saturday. Don't forget that KBC Channel 1 will be airing these matches live and exclusive. So stay tuned. Tomorrow and Thursday we take a break, but action resumes on Friday. But definitely we will be having our analysis still going on this particular days that the World Cup won't be airing. Moving on, the KBC Channel 1 World Cup Roadshows continues to traverse the counties, with the latest stop being in Homa Bay. Prior to arriving in Homa Bay, the caravan made a stop in Busia County on Monday, where football fans watched as 5-time champions Brazil Brazil booked their place in the quarterfinals after thrashing Korea 4-1. After Homa Bay, the Caravan, a partnership between KBC and SportPesa, heads to Vihiga County ahead of the quarterfinals.
After making a stop in Bungoma, the KBC Channel 1 and SportPesa World Cup Caravan moved to Busia County for the public viewing of the ongoing World Cup matches in Qatar. Busia residents had the ultimate chance of witnessing Brazil cruise to the last 8 with ease against South Korea. Football fans had also the opportunity to interact with KBC acts, including Vyoja Mahakamani's Makoha, who thrilled the fans with his anecdotes and at the same time offering an opportunity to lucky fans to walk away with a host of gifts on offer. After Homa Bay on Tuesday, the caravan goes back to Western Region, where the public in Vihiga will get a chance to view 2 quarter-final matches on 9th and 10th of December, respectively. The collaboration between the public broadcaster and SportPesa is meant to give football fans an opportunity to watch the ongoing World Cup matches in Qatar unhindered. Bernard Okumu, Channel 1 Sports.
And those are all the sports stories we had for you tonight. Do not forget that Portugal and Switzerland are currently playing. The game is at the 36th minute, and I can see that Portugal are leading 2-0, meaning Morocco may take on Portugal on Saturday in that quarter-final fixture. So stay tuned. I know tomorrow we don't have matches going on Wednesday and Thursday, but our able team will be here on ground to give you more details about the quarterfinals and the semifinals going ahead. So stay tuned. Don't miss any analysis right here at KBC Channel 1. My name is Karen Kibet. Have yourself a peaceful night. I hand you back to my colleague, Tom.
Thank you very much, Karen Kibet, for that. Well, it's a wrap from us here on behalf of the Prime Edition team, including our sign language interpreter, Byron Abuli. I want to thank you for watching. My name is Tom Mboya. Good night from Broadcasting House in Nairobi, Kenya.
Cheza loto, shinda pesa moto.
Wachua mamili leo na Loto Moto. Cheza ukianzia na shilingi 50 na ushinde milioni 2 kila siku. Kucheza ni rahisi zaidi. Kwenye M-Pesa, chagua lipa na M-Pesa. Paybill number, weka 757070. Account number, andika neno Loto. Kisha, weka star. Alafu nambari yako ya simu. Kwenye amount, weka kiwango chochote cha pesa. Kuanzia shilingi 50 hadi shilingi 2000. Lipa na usubiri draw. Makinika papa hapa ili utimize ndoto zako na Loto Moto. Cheza kwa kuwajibika. Mchezo huu ni wazi kwa watu walio na umri wa miaka 18 na zaidi. Ujumbe huu umeidhinishwa na BCLB. Cheza Loto Moto. Shinda pesa moto moto.
Opportunity to bring in across. This could be number 1 here. Denzel. Opportunity. Venetias. And it's a goal. 1-0. Oh la la. Brazil take the lead here. But we've also seen big stars miss penalties. And no, certainly this one is an easy one. Stranded was King Sung-Gyu. They're doing a lot of work in terms of trying to put him in the pocket. And second ball, no! 3-0! Another trouble here. Somebody's going to put off this 5 because it's turning out to be too much. 4-0, Brazil leads. Like a battle for the ball in a rugby match. Shot from range. Good strike. And finally, Alisson Becker is beaten.
With
With your Equity cards, there is no need to carry cash or visit the ATM. Enjoy secure, convenient, and stress-free payments at no extra charge with your Equity cards. Jumambo ni kulipa na Equity card.
Feel the excitement. Relish every moment. Get 1.5 GB at 50 bob. Valid for 3 hours. Furahia futa. Dial *544 hash. Make Chaguo smarter na Airtel, the most affordable network.
The long-awaited event is finally here.
Qatar World Cup 2022, the much awaited.
We are set.
Catch all the moments as they happen live on KBC channel.
Iko KBC.